Hello, this is Purge, bringing you guys a replay commentary. Going to be doing an Ancient Apparition game today. Let's hop over to the Dota buff. We're going to try to make this video fairly fast, as the game itself is not super long. But Ancient Apparition is a support hero that is currently very rarely picked in the pro scene, but we did actually see him get played in the TI5 Grand Finals, which is pretty cool. Ancient Apparition is a hero. Oops, that's my bad. That's my Skype. I am on, one second. I am on a screen capture, so I need to do this. I'm sorry, everybody. That was... Forgot to turn my Skype to D&D. And back to Dota buff. Okay, Ancient Apparition as a support is a support that is very squishy, but can really amplify the damage that his team does. The hero has normally played as a safe lane support, usually played as like a 4 position kind of, but sometimes a 5 as well. And by that I mean that you get the least farm on your team. Don't look at this most popular item build is terrible. The most common pro build is actually to max out your Ice Vortex first. What your Ice Vortex does is you put a little wispy ice thing on the ground and it amplifies magic damage that heroes or creeps in the AoE take, and it also slows them. So it's very good at amplifying damage that your team does. So if most lineups have like a bit of magic burst, and if you do, putting an Ice Vortex down can really help out to increase the amount of damage that you take. It's a little bit mana expensive to spam this ability a lot, but in fact all of AA's abilities are a little expensive. But regardless of that, the hero doesn't really need Arcane Boots, I think. It's one of the most popular items in pubs, but I really don't like them in almost all cases. I think Arcanes are a mistake on Ancient Apparition. It's much better items you can get. It's kind of the same as the Witch Doctor. Like, you usually want an Aghanim Scepter, which gives you a decent mana pool, so why would you buy Arcane Boots to get there? It's about the same gold as a component, so I think it's a mistake to go Arcane Boots in almost all cases. Other good abilities, Cold Feet is arguably the least popular of Ancient Apparition's abilities. When the hero first came out, this ability costed 90 mana, and because of that, you could spam it with like 1 bottle charge. So you basically just cast on your opponent. The way it works is you cast on them, they take damage over time for up to 4 seconds, and if they don't move a certain distance away, they get stunned for up to 3.5 seconds. But most people don't level this past 1. At least in the pro scene, the way AAs are played is they get 1 Cold Feet, they get 4 Vortex, because that amplifies your team's damage the most, and they get 1 Chilling Touch. I'll explain Chilling Touch in a moment, but if you look at the damage in the green text, total possible damage, it's actually a good damage skill with just 1 skill point. What you're basically getting by leveling it up is increasing the stun duration and reducing the cooldown is what makes Cold Feet good. It's best used against heroes that aren't going to move that much, and preferably if you have a setup or a lot of stuns, it can be useful, but as a whole, this ability is thought to be the worst Ancient Apparition ability right now. The game that I played was actually an exception to that. Your third skill, Chilling Touch, you cast this in an AoE, and it gives everybody in the AoE, plus yourself, even if you're not in the AoE, a enhanced attack. And as you attack, you do bonus 50 magical damage at level 1. So this ability is really synergistic with some heroes, like heroes that attack very fast, like Wind Ranger. It works well with Ember Spirit, because every person that he Sleight of Fist will apply the Chilling Touch to them. You only get a maximum amount of attacks, maximum amount of charges, so if you use Sleight of Fist, it doesn't buff every single hit. But it's a very good way in the early game to get a bunch of damage output, because if you think about it, in 3 attacks, that's 150 magic damage. So if I cast this on myself and another person, and we both attack 3 times, I'm doing 300 magic damage with 1 skill point. Now, it does reduce your attack speed by 20, which is pretty incredible. It's not incredible, but it's a moderate amount of damage, but it's a pretty significant amount of damage in the early game. Or a lot of attack speed in the early game, so make sure you don't cast it when you're attacking buildings, because it doesn't do the damage to buildings. It only works on creeps and heroes. So, but the most common build is you go 1, 4 on Vortex and 1 on Chilling Touch, and then you start getting stats, because AA stacking is pretty bad, really bad. 1.4 for strength and 2.2 agility. It's actually a really good agility gain for somebody so weak, and 2.6 int gain is pretty good. So you have to make up for the fact that your strength gain is very low, so that's why you usually get stats, because the extra levels of Cold Feet don't do that much, just add a very small amount of damage increase and give you a small chance of having a stun duration increase. You can see why stats is better there. And Chilling Touch is amazing at level 1, and every subsequent level is not that much better, so if there isn't any synergy, I don't really recommend maxing it up. And then your ultimate's Ice Blast, you see it a lot. The way that most AAs play is they will hit level 6, and then they will start setting up kills with their team using Ice Blast. And you send out this tracer around the map, and as it goes farther, the AoE that it will ultimately hit for is bigger. So if you shoot from long range, you can often hit a lot of people with it, and what it does is it does damage, And then for 8 to 10 seconds, it does damage over time of 12.5 to 32 damage per second. And during the duration of the damage over time, if they get below 10, 11, or 12% HP, they die. They just die. The only way they don't die is if they activate BKB to stop the damage, or if they're graved by Dazzle. Or you can get disrupted, things like that. There's a little other ways to stop damage to remove yourself from the game. Or you can also use the pipe to get a magic shield, and if you do that, then that damage over time doesn't reduce your HP. But if physical damage, for example, will get you to that threshold, you still die. And the other really important thing about this is that it prevents healing while the buff is active on you. So that 8 to 10 seconds, while that's on you, you cannot get any heals. It's impossible. You can't pick up an item that increases your strength. You can't use your wand. You can't use your bottle. You can't use your mech. You can't use your allies heal. There are very few ways, I think, to heal, if any. I don't know if time-lapse works, but it might not. So if you buy an Aghanim Scepter, the amount of time that you're shatterable goes up to 17 seconds, which is really important against some healing lineups. So a fast Ags purchase, as seen in this game, for example, is very, very popular with Ancient Apparition, because if you hit an entire enemy team with it, it puts you in a really dangerous situation. If your opponents nuke you down, they only have to get you to 10% to kill you. So it basically reduces your max HP in some ways, is one good way to think about it. Common items, Aghanim Scepter totally makes sense here. I really like Power Treads personally. I think this is the best boots choice. You either go Tranquil Boots if they have a lot of spammable magic spells like a Tinker or something, or I feel you get Treads if they just have raw damage. Treads is a good way to just increase your damage, and also you get some attack speed from this, which helps offset your Chilling Touch. I think that's pretty good, and also helps you make your mana pool go a bit farther. Yule's Scepter can be good because you can cast Cold Feet and then cast Yules. They won't take damage while they're Yules, but they will have 2.5 less seconds to run away from the radius of the Cold Feet, and the radius is 740. So they're basically forced to run a very far away after Cold Feet. If you use the Yules, you can set up a stun on somebody that doesn't have a Force Staff or a Blink, like a Anti-Mage or something like that. So it can be good there. I think Rod of Atos also does a very similar thing. Applies a really strong slow and guarantees in some ways the Cold Feet proc. Mechanism is an option as well, because your hero doesn't super need a mana pool, and in some ways you can do a battle AA. You don't have to do just the Ags Rush with the full sacrifice and sit far away from your team and try to Ice Blast people. You don't have to play that way. It is one way to play the hero though. Force Staff is also pretty good because the hero has really weak disables. You have a slow, you have a stun that's probably not going to latch before you die against stronger heroes than you. So having a way to escape is really good. So I like the Force Staff. Midas is very popular because it doesn't naturally have good ways to farm, so you kind of have to like greed until you get the Midas, and the Midas will help you transition into your Aghanim Scepter while still getting good levels. The levels are really important as well, because getting subsequent levels of Ice Blast is really big, because the damage goes from 250 to 450, the Shatter Health threshold goes up, and the damage per second goes up. So it's really important to get levels on this hero. And yeah, that's about it. I really like Urn of Shadows and Magic Wand as well. A is a hero that doesn't super need mana, but can actually use a little bit of extra burst. And the Magic Wand, as well as the Urn of Shadows, gives him 10 extra strength, which is 190 HP, helps make up for his weak disables and bad strength gain. And they also allow him to stay full healed. It gives him another damage source with the Urn. He can heal his allies, and the Magic Wand as well helps keep him alive. It's a lot of stats, and it's a lot of burst heal that can help keep him alive despite his squishiness, so that's very good. Heroes that A is good against, heroes that heal basically. Huskar, very good against Huskar. Despite all of your damage being magical, you can lower his magic resistance, which means that you do slightly more, not a lot, but slightly more magic damage to him. Also, you can prevent his heal with Ice Blast. That means that if a Huskar builds Armlet, Ice Blast completely counters it, because you can't just turn Armlet off and on to increase your HP. So it puts Huskar, if he doesn't have a BKB basically, it puts him in a really bad situation. Very good against Dazzle as well, because Dazzle heals allies. If you Ice Blast them, the heal doesn't work. And then Grave can buy you 5 seconds, but if the Shatter's still on after the Grave and they're below the threshold, they'll die. Same with Necrophos, healing your team, healing your team, healing your team. And Bristleback is just generally tanky, so being able to kill him is good. I'm not really sure why he's slightly good against Disruptor. Maybe because Disruptor has weak disables or something like that, and the hero is a little squishy, and about another hero that heals. So basically, you can just clearly see anti-healing is partially what A is all about. Heroes that you're bad against, Nature's Prophet can very easily solo kill you, because he'll just teleport in, Orchid you and kill you, or something like that, and you don't have a way to defend yourself. Even if he doesn't have an Orchid, all you can do is cold feed him pretty much, and drop a Vortex down and make him run a little slower. Lycan can very easily kill you because he's max movement speed. He doesn't care about slows at all when he uses his ultimate. Anti-Mage can very easily blink Manta on top of you, and you're just dead at that point. Beastmaster, I don't know, good at killing weak supports. You don't really have a good way to stop him. Phantom Lancer, you're bad against because you have a little bit of poor AoE. It's hard to find the real one unless you Ice Blast them. Storm Spirit doesn't worry about Cold Feet because he pretty much just balls in and kills you instantly. You have bad AoE, so you can't zone a Broodmother very well, and Clinks, you have kind of low armor despite your high agility gain. Your base armor is 1.8, so it's not amazing. Your agility gain is pretty good. This is a good agility gain, but it's not really something to write home about. So Clinks can definitely kill you as well. So that is Clinks. Win rate is pretty low. That's not terrible, 48%, and he's a little bit lower than middle of the pack. He's a decently popular hero. He's actually a very low win rate for me, though. I have a 40% win rate for him. My 5th lowest win rate, which I clicked on this, which is a mistake. I actually kind of really like the hero right now, which is a little surprising. Black screen. I'm not going to forget this time. We're going to hop in the game. There we go. Didn't mess it up. I actually like AA right now. After watching him at TI, I was like, you know what? AA is kind of a cool hero. I don't know what changed. I used to think he was super boring. He didn't have a lot of impact. He couldn't roam. There's a lot of stuff you can actually do with AA. I just sucked at him. So hopefully I'll play AA a lot more recently, or in the future, and hopefully I can do some good things. So we had a bit of a cool draft here, and it was actually one of the most AA-focused drafts I've seen in my entire life. And I was just like, damn, dude, our draft is like so good for Ancient Apparition. Now, the kind of drafts you don't want AA for are let me give you an example. Like, if you have heroes that don't do magic damage at all, it's bad to have AA. For example, like I could play AA with like a Phantom Assassin, and that doesn't work amazing because Phantom Assassin doesn't do magic damage of any kind. So my Ice Vortex is kind of a waste because I can't amp her magic damage. I can cast Chilling Touch on her, which means that every time she attacks, and she does attack rapidly with Blink Strike, that she does Chilling Touch hits. That's synergistic, but I don't fully synergize. But look at this game. I've got a hero that attacks a lot, Lifestealer, so I can put Chilling Touch on him. That's pretty cool. Also, I can apply some magic resistance reduction, which will buff up Infest. That's kind of cool. Witch Doctor does right clicks, does magic damage with Maledict, and Death Ward does physical, so I don't stack super well with Witch Doctor at all. But everybody else on the team, it's really good. Morphling has a very high duration stun with Adaptive Strike, and this was an offlane Morphling game, so that means his stun was going to stun for 4.25 seconds. That 4.25, hey, that's enough time to cast Cold Feet. Cold Feet's 4 seconds. So if he does Adaptive Strike and then I cast Cold Feet, somebody's getting stunned permanently. Well, you know, if I max this out, actually, I could stun him for an extra 3.5 seconds afterwards. That's super synergistic, and actually is a good reason to max this skill out in this game, because it's like, wait, I can actually reliably stun this guy as long as Morphling stuns him about the same time. That's really cool. Chilling Touch also stacks really with Ember Spirit. Like I said, Sleight of Fist, you can I can cast this on Ember Spirit, you can cast Sleight of Fist. It'll hit everybody for a bunch of bonus magic damage. That's pretty cool. And he also does a lot of magic damage with both Flame Guard as well as Searing Chains. These are both magic damage spells. If he uses Fire Remnant for damage, that does magic damage, which means that with all things said and done, I stack really well with Ember Spirit as well. I can Cold Feet for a 3.5 second stun as he uses Searing Chains, which disables for 3 seconds. That's pretty reliable disable as well. So there's a ton of synergy all over the place. Morphling also does some magic damage with Waveform, which means bonus damage from Ice Vortex. Just all around really synergistic draft. I was really happy with this. This is actually an unranked game, I think. No, maybe this one was ranked. I don't remember. But let's hop into the player perspective. But I don't know, lately I've just been like, you know what, A is kind of a cool hero. I kind of like playing A. I'm not really sure I felt like that, but he has some things that he can do that are cool. I may have random this game. I'm not entirely sure. No, it doesn't look like I did. These are pretty standard items here. This is the Immortal that came out recently. It makes your ultimate look a little different. It's pretty cool. I have gotten 0 godlike sprees. It's hard to get a godlike spree on AA, that's for sure. But I bought my typical support items. I buy this almost all the time when I play AA. It is Courier, 2 Observer Wards, 2 Tangos, a Ironwood Branch, and a Clarity. So it gives me a little bit of mana, gives me slight HP increase, 19 HP, and plenty of Tangos to end up keeping my HP full. And I gave 2 to the mid player. I'm just going to speed things up a little bit in the downtime. I already talked about the skills of crap load. I think I do end up warding here. I don't completely recommend this. I think it's kind of a lazy ward. It's good for spotting the rune and spotting where the offlane hero is going, I guess. But past that, it's not really that amazing. I don't know if the Storm saw me moving forward. He definitely sees me now. Chances of killing that guy are very low. But I do believe we get the rune. Kind of, like I said, kind of a lazy ward. I kind of would prefer that to be top rune, because the supports are likely to come from there to gank mid, whereas offlane, as a Legion commander, offlane's not going to shift mid to gank. So I think that's a bit of a mistake. So what I should be doing basically as an Ancient Apparition is getting levels in the early game. It's really important. Like, getting a fast 6 is really important, especially if you're playing competitive. We picked Ancient Apparition a lot right before we played in the TIA 4 qualifiers on Zephyr. And the goal was basically to get 6 really fast. And the best way to do that is just to get good at pulling through. But because we're being aggressively dueling, it's usually better to kill them in most cases. So I instead decided to fight a little bit more. At the very least, we should have checked over to see if the camp was blocked. But just standing here and auto-attacking people helps a lot. And also trying to deny. Even if you're not always very successful, I was able to chilling touch everybody here. And very wisely, the Legion commander was able to use his press the attack ability. This is something that actually kind of hard counters me. It removes negative debuffs, so if somebody's slowed or somebody's about to be stunned, he can cast press the attack on himself, and it means that the slow doesn't work. If open wounds wasn't removed there, I think we would have killed him for sure, because I would have done probably 2 more right clicks, the lifestealer could have finished off more chilling touch damage, and it would have been really good. But unfortunately, we weren't able to get killed. You can see the wards there on the replay, but I'm just checking here. I see the... I actually don't know if I realized here that the camp was not there. I think I went to pull and I was late, which was the problem. So pretty big mistake there. The creep wave pushes up. We missed the kill. We missed the creep wave. And I also missed the fact that the camp was blocked because I didn't actually check the camp. I felt like they never got in all the way in there. They must have ran right away. At this point I realized the camp was blocked, or Witch Doctor did have sentries. But it was a bit unfortunate. I could have checked earlier. I could have dewarded before the 2-minute mark, and that would have meant that I would have pulled 1 minute earlier. So pretty big mistake. And in the course of the early game, this might seem small, but it's actually really big, because if I would have started a pull here, I would have been definitely level 2. This is a very common place to deward, right, by the way. I'm just going to show you this really quick, because you guys may not fully understand it, but the outer limits, unfortunately, I have to like... Okay, there we go. Oh, that doesn't work. I think I have to choose free camera while the game is resumed. Alright, there we go. Alright, and my arrows aren't working. I don't know why. The outer limits of this camp are basically between these 2 bushes here. So the block is something like... It's not going to be... Technically, my map... If you look at the map, it's actually an angle. So technically, the angle is a little bit like this. But the best way to do is just square it up. Basically, from this point of these bushes, straight up to out here. And then it goes over. And then the box goes over to the magic bush, which I believe stops about here. This bush is the magic bush. It blocks both. It's basically where this block goes. This block is like this. You can see the 2 plants, like the little bush of flowers down here, and the bush on the right. And this one here, which coincides something like this. So basically both boxes. This is why it's a magic bush, because it blocks this camp, and it blocks this camp. And this goes down to these little 2 shrubs here. The left block point is here. And then I should just make a fucking warding video one of these days, or a dewarding video. I think it'd be really blocking and dewarding basically. I'll do that soon maybe. That's a good idea. And then this goes all the way over. Maybe I'll wait until Reborn 2 because the map changed. I don't know. But basically it comes over and it goes down to about here, I think. So I basically place my sentry in the middle, right below that, so that it will give vision at pretty much this area. It won't check everything. They could have put an observer ward here, or right here, or anywhere on the north side, and I wouldn't have found it. But that's why I put it right here. It looks a little bit like it block, and it's very close, but it does not block. It's very important if you play support much to test the blocking stuff and to know where they are, the blocking limits. God, it's so hard to drag this for some reason. I don't know why. But it's like right here, basically. This is the block is something like this. So yeah. All right, back to the game. Player perspective. Let's choose you, and I don't think that's gonna work. But so I missed the block again, but I did get the D ward. Lifestealer missing a lot of HP, but maybe we can fight again. Chilling Touch cooldown level is really high, by the way. I think it's 50 seconds. So you can only use it so often. You can't just spam it to win your lane. If you could cast that way or on a lower cooldown, you could easily win your lane, because you could very easily zone your opponents. If anybody gets up, it's a pretty easy fight here. The Lena stayed way too long. Nice stun, or nice removal of disable there by the Legion. But the mistake was basically that the Lena stayed too far. It looked like Legion was the hero in trouble. In reality, we were able to open wounds on the Lena instead. But honestly, they kind of have a decent counter to our lane due to having the Legion Commander and the Lina. It works out decently because you can always remove the slow, and Witch Doctor Stun is a little bit unreliable. You also might be wondering, why didn't I get Ice Vortex level 2? In most cases, I will grab Ice Vortex at level 2. Pretty much always you're going to grab Chilling Touch level 1 because it's far better of a skill, especially early in the game. You can cast Chilling Touch up onto 5 heroes on your team. So if you have like a 5v5 team fight, you're doing 150 times 5 damage. That's 750 magic damage in a team fight. That's a huge amount of damage. So your early game contribution on Ancient Apparition is really high. It's very good to do that, if I remember correctly. No, I'm thinking about a different game. I remembered a game where my pull got super messed up. I don't remember why exactly, but it wasn't this game. Anyways, Chilling Touch, very good at level 1. Really buffs up your team's damage. Cold Feet, not so reliable. One good thing that Cold Feet does have going for it is that if you do land Cold Feet, it does a lot of damage with 1 skill point. It does 150 magic damage. That's way higher than most skill points at level 1. Tried to deny the DD from the high ground, but I was not able to get it.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
Was able to get the Centaur, gives me a big boost of gold, and then my 2 little guys should be dying to the respawn small camp. I shouldn't be auto-attacking this too much. I learned my lesson from the Witch Doctor game. I was like, you know, I should really not just try to greed out and kill the small camp because it's going to mess up my pulls. But the downside is that the medium pull camp actually didn't end up spawning. I could do a large camp to small camp pull. That's possible. It's a little difficult. But I could do it. You have to cut down a few different trees is usually the best way to do it. It helps to have like a dark troll or something like that. So I think I did buy the flying. I don't remember. Somebody bought flying and I've got boots. So now I'm decently survivable. I still have a lot of trouble against some select heroes like Clockwork, for example. My hero is really poor against because Clockwork gets on top of me. I don't really have a way of stopping him from doing damage to me. He's basically just going to kill me. So if you have nothing to do, if the camp wave is, if the creep wave is pushed up really far, you might as well go stack a camp. So I've gotten a little bit of efficiency here. At some point, my team will farm that double camp, and I've basically helped increase their GPM by doing that. So it's basically the trifecta of what you should be doing as a support: zone offlaners, contest dual lanes, and if you're not doing either of those 2 things, then you're either pulling or you're stacking. And sometimes you're pulling and stacking. Like, for example, me. I was waiting for my other thing to go down. Oh, yeah, this is where I got screwed. Do you see that? I couldn't get through, and I didn't want to use a new tango. So I got blocked, and then I attacked the creep, which was stupid. Luckily, I was able to block these 2 creeps in, so I'll be able to still get the camp. But I got screwed there. I think the biggest mistake I made was that I went for the last hit. I was like, oh, there's the last hit. I should get this. And I got the last hit, but it actually screwed me out of connecting fully. And I also missed this Alpha Wolf here, a bit of a mistake. I also wanted to get experience for that small wolf. That was a little greedy, but luckily they don't have very good setup. They'd have to land the Lina stone, which is unlikely. So, but the pull should have been all creeps, and because I missed that, it's going to push now. I might have also... Okay, good. I didn't block the small camp either. Again, camps respawn every minute, so it's important. At this point, the Witch Doctor pinged on the river because they were coming up the river, so I was setting up for a fight. And then I realized that I just should have pulled instead, so that really annoyed me. It wasn't really his fault. It was more my fault. But it's important in most cases to just stick to pulling. Because, yeah, we had a chance of getting a kill there if I was there. But you know what's really reliable? Just pulling. You guarantee that you get like a level out of your jungle. And that would have been really good to get because it's more damage, it's more survivability, it's a lot of things. So instead we said, let's go set up a kill top. And I think Blitz organized this one. This is a game with Blitz and Aosin. At this point, I'm actually a very strong hero. With 3 skill points, my hero is quite strong. I knew I might be casting a lot, so I used my Clarity Potion here to start things off, because I TP'd the lane. There's the Chilling Embrace, and there's the damage. So, pretty easy kill. Chilling Embrace on 2 heroes. I put a Vortex down so that he would take bonus magic damage, and then I also casted Cold Feet, which would do up to 150, which is really good at this point. So a level 3 Ancient Apparition actually is quite good for ganking. I think maybe part of the reason that I always felt Ancient Apparition was weak was partially because I was playing Ancient Apparition, and partially because I was consistently underleveled, like very underleveled, underfarmed, and that was because my pulling was so weak in the past, so it would end up being very underleveled, and I would get punished by a lot of offlane heroes because they weren't always properly zoned as well. So due to these mistakes, I had 2 problems basically. This should have been a kill on Lina. This is a mistake by Aosin. I think he said he was watching the courier or something. If he would have adaptive striked her, we could have stunned her, and probably he could have waveformed through, and we could have right-clicked her and probably killed her, because my stun would have lasted for 2.5 seconds then, or 2 seconds, sorry. 2 seconds, not amazing, but pretty good. He gave me a mango here because we wanted to try for another kill. This is going to be a lot harder without more people, and with it going daytime, he now knows that I'm here. So, should have watched the clock. I didn't really realize. Oh, I messed up my mana a little bit. This is my fault, I think. I put a vortex down, and I should have just cold feeded. That would have been much better. He does land another stun. We have to kill her as fast as possible because she was about to teleport somewhere else on the map. And Steven actually died for that one. That was entirely my fault. That was improper mana management. If I would have properly managed my mana, I die here. Just kidding! I was really lucky with that one. Lina only had enough for one stun, and by juking back to dodge the Light Strike Array, I also dodged the Splinter Blast, so they didn't have any disables left. So I ended up surviving. I was going to go back and heal here, but I saw that the creep wave is pushing in. This is a really good way to get a little bit of farm and some easy levels, so I decided to sit back. But with Steven coming back, it's pretty much no reason for me to be here anymore, and I'll go back and heal. So that is why, that was a mistake I made. I should have said, like, I only have enough mana for 2 spells, or 3 spells, almost 3 spells, but not really. And I should have casted Cold Feet instead of casting Vortex, because I would have done a bunch of damage, and I would have had a good chance of laying the stun into the Spectre. So, pretty big mistake. First purchase, I get an Urn. I really like Urn purchases. I talked about this in the Dota buff section. I really like Urn purchases on supports that only need a little bit of mana in the early game, that don't need a huge amount of mana pool. You could maybe say Venge is a good example. Shadow Demon's a good example. Shadow Demon kind of needs more. I think a Slow Ring is usually the right play on Shadow Demon, but in a lot of cases you only need a little bit of mana, and Ancient Apparition is the perfect one. He wants to increase his HP, and he also wants to increase his mana pool a little bit, and 50% mana is actually a pretty big increase for the early game. It adds up over the course of a minute or two. And you are standing around a lot when you're playing Ancient Apparition in a lot of cases, so I think it's good to have it. I was a little upset with the fact that I TP'd the bot lane because it ended up making me in the wrong place at the wrong time. They do kill those storms here without me though. And with the LC, I think TPing away allows me to basically just sap 6. And this is something that you do want to do if you guys are hard carries and you're watching this. If you are able to go jungle efficiently and fast, like if you're playing a Lycan or something like that, or a melee carry that has a Quelling Blade, in a lot of cases it's really good for you to shift into your jungle and give your supports like Ancient Apparition free farm in a lane like this. It actually helps a lot. Because now I'm able to get last hits, which gets me a faster Midas or Treads or whatever the heck I'm building. And also helps me get level 6. What the Wish Doctor should be doing right now is actually pulling. He's doing this a little bit inefficiently. And like if he's standing in my lane, well it's not my lane, you know, it's our lane. But if I'm the one that's taking farm, and he's letting me take farm, he shouldn't stand there. He should either stand in the trees to the side to hide, or he should stand behind me in a place where he's safer. But if he's out in front like that, he's just a liability. And he also shows his opponents exactly where he is on the map, which means that they're less scared in the mid lane, and they're also not going to run down here and gank on me. If he hides, they might start a fight, and then he'll be there to back me up, and we might be able to get a kill. So there's a lot of information mistakes that he's making. Also, he could just go pull. If he just went and pulled, he would get his own experience in gold, and I would get my own experience in gold, and I would hit 6 faster. So my 6 is pretty late here. If I wouldn't have missed 1 or 2 of those pulls, I would have hit 6 maybe 2 minutes ago, and things would have gone better. Didn't really need my ultimate for that kill or anything like that, but at this point you're very strong as an Ancient Apparition. I told the Witch Doctor that if he stunned the Lina we could get a kill, and you should basically be aggressive with your early A's. Again, I didn't have a lot of faith in the hero, so I'd play a little bit too safe. It's a nice bounce, guaranteed the kill there. But just use Ice Blast, it's a good spell. Like I want to look to see how much damage I basically did there, because I think this is going to be interesting. It might seem like I don't do that much, but this was, what? It does like probably 250 damage or something like that here. It does 150, 200, 250. Yeah, 250 damage here. My Ice Blast does 250. That's 500 magic damage right there. That's like a Laguna Blade. That's like a Finger of Death or something. Plus I'm boosting it with Ice Vortex. So if we look at the combat log, just click on the log up here. I'm going to look at Ancient Apparition. I'm going to look at Lina. I'm going to say damage. Alright, cast Cold Feet on her. Hit her for Ice Blast for 215 damage. So normally this does 250. Let's see how much it's reduced by. 250 times 0.75. So that normally does 187.5 damage, but because I had this level 1 Ice Vortex down, it did 215 instead. So that's a difference of 15 plus 13. It's basically like almost 30 damage. It's not a huge amount, but it's not terrible. And then the cold feet hit for 53, 53, 46. Oh, because she ran outside the vortex. So each tick, the vortex did an extra 8 or something like that. It actually adds up quite a bit. It's not bad. And then hits Lena with Ice Blast for 63. What's that? Oh, because she went to 10% or whatever. That's why, so it just killed her. That's probably what happened. And the Witch Doctor, I'm sure, did bonus damage as well. Cask did 43 damage each hit, which is a little bit extra. I think it was supposed to do 75. Maybe my Vortex didn't catch him for that, but it's like not a huge increase in damage, but we ended up getting the kill, you know? It's important. It's like the hero's actually not bad early game, unlike I thought. You basically just need one stun. If it's not like a Storm Spirit or something, you just need one stun or one slow, and you can kill anybody with your Ice Blast. The way to use it is you press the hotkey, for me it's T, then you left click where the person is stunned, you shoot it out, and you have to press it a second time when it's on target. That's basically how it works here. Kind of wish that I was up here close in it, because I would have really been able to help out. We would have been able to get that kill. I didn't have Ice Blast, but I could have cold feeded him. Oh yeah, another really good reason that Ancient Apparition is amazing in this game. It's actually kind of a really good counter to Winter Wyvern. Unfortunately got stunned by the Lena here, but I was able to get the stun off on the Lena. Nice stun by Eosin, stuns the Storm Spirit. That's good. Mistake I made probably is that I should have Ice Blasted maybe instantly. I casted Cold Feet and I think I put a Vortex down, which stunned the Lena, which is pretty good. Prevented. Oh, she actually did use her ultimate, I think, to kill me, maybe. Looks like she did. I probably should have Ice Blasted, but I wasn't expecting her to be there at all. And once you're in melee range against a hero like that, it's pretty dangerous. Or what I could have done is cast a Cold Feet and then tried to juke her stun. That would have been good. Although there's a decent chance she could have just Dragon Slave Lagoon bladed me, and I just would have died. But not a huge loss for me, and luckily our team was able to outplay them a bit. Now, I built Power Treads. I've got an Urn. You could criticize me for not having a Wand, I think. But as a whole, like, I've been pretty active so far. We did a gank on top lane. We've done a gank on bot lane. We've gotten some kills in lane. I've gotten my own farm. I've gotten my own experience. And I actually feel pretty dangerous at this point. I have, what, about 1,000 HP? That's really high here. It's basically because you just need to translate your early gold into strength items, in my opinion. And because by doing that, it allows you to just stay alive. Like, if I'm playing against Spectre and Storm Spirit and Legion Commander, and if Legion gets Blink, they're just going to jump on me and kill me right away. But if I increase my HP by a moderate amount, it helps a lot. Just putting a Vortex down here because Blitz is doing a bunch of AoE magic damage and accelerates the speed at which he kills those neutrals. Pretty good stack. And with the Urn that I got from the... How did I get that Urn? I don't remember getting that Urn charge. So I died before the Lena. It must have been when we killed the Lena the previous time in the bot lane is where I got those Urn charges. But damage amplification is great. Ganking on Ancient Apparition is not hard. The only thing is that you usually need cores to do the setups yourself. Again, all the spells, all that good stuff. Looks like he's actually going to survive. I think I did that slightly wrong. I ran away from the Legion, and what I should have done probably... What I should have done instead is I should have cold feeded him instantly. Fortunately, I was stun missed on the Storm Spirit. But don't be afraid to be aggressive with Ancient Apparition. If you understand what your opponent's abilities do, then you shouldn't have too much threat. I shot the Ice Blast down here because I thought it might give the Lifestealer a chance to turn that fight. Since I'm in the middle of nowhere, there's no point for me to show up to that fight, in my opinion. It's better for me just to sit mid, last hit, and get cold, I think. Like I said, my other abilities are very useful, but if there's a free lane in the mid lane, I kind of feel like it's better to grab those last hits sometimes, rather than running across the map. Maybe that's a mistake, but right there it felt right to get last hits, even if it doesn't give me a huge amount. I can still globally help out with my ultimate, for example. Helped against the storm, at least. So I've got more items coming on the courier, I think. Magic wand and maybe some observer wards, and now I've got 4 levels of cold feet. Again, the reason cold feet's so good, it takes 4 seconds to activate. That means if anybody gets chilling embraced by Winter Wyvern, that's a spell that gives you full armor. Basically, you take no physical damage, and it also regens their HP. If I cold feet somebody that's just cold embraced, they can't move for 4 seconds, and I can basically just guarantee that they get stunned afterwards. It's a really cool counter that I've never thought about before. Also works great against duel on the Legion Commander. If you duel somebody, you duels them for like 4 seconds. I just cast Cold Embrace on the Legion Commander, and then he gets stunned afterwards. And takes magic damage. It's pretty cool. So, those two things together, I really love the synergy. So, earning up the Lifestealer to keep his HP up a little bit. So you never really know how much of a difference the HP will make. I'm sitting pretty far back because they could defend this. Their Storm Spirit may show up to this, and it's very important that if you are the squishy support, like AA is in this case, that you sit far away from the towers. You don't want your opponents to know where you are, or you want to make it so you're so far out of position that you can still back your teammates up, maybe not as usefully, but you're not a vulnerability. Because if they go on me first, I'm probably just dead if I go way up in melee range, but if I sit behind my Morphling and I sit behind my Lifestealer, I can back them up. I can enhance our damage, and we can get towers. So moving my camera a lot to get vision. I put a sentry behind so that they don't have to make sure they don't have an observer ward spotting us out as we push. And now because we got that, I can back off. Now it's a little scary for me to sit down here and farm. I was kind of expecting them to gank me. I don't remember if they do or not. I feel like they kind of did. But I put a vortex to the left because that's generally the path that they'll take if they roam around to try to grab me. It would probably be wisest to just sit on strength treads here, because if they do gank me, they an extra 100 and however much HP is going to make a big difference. It's like 9 strength right now. 9 times 19 equals 171. A big amount of HP, really. That's like 3 to 4 right clicks. Something huge like that. At this point, I am grabbing items. We're going to go shift to the top lane. I was putting some of the rewards together on the courier, which is why that looked weird. Because somebody else had been buying observer wards, but they hadn't brought them. I assume the Witch Doctor was purchasing them, but they hadn't brought them out yet. So there we go. Look at that. 4. I just got 4 observer wards. Because I kept checking the shop and there was like 1 in stock or they're empty, and I was like, why are they never empty? Why are they never there? That's really weird. And that's why. So we've got some smokes as well, and basically my plan is group up with Morphling, and what we're going to do is kill anybody that we can find. I did buy some TPs from the side shop. I think that was maybe a mistake. Might have been better instead if I went for waiting till he pushed the wave up a bit before I move forward. I think that would have been better. But now that he's I'm level 8, he should have 4 levels in stun. I'll cast Chilling Touch on us right now, just to set up for the gank in case a fight happens. He's gonna have to waveform to get the stun. Pretty easy kill there. Same thing, Ice Blast into Cold Feet. Chilling Touch actually works really good against Cold Embrace as well because it gives a magic component to your attack. So if somebody's really low and Cold Embrace is saving them, you can just auto attack them. That's pretty cool, I think. Again, my skill build this game was really weird, but because I was participating in a lot of kills, I was able to put a lot of skill points into Cold Feet, and Chilling Touch didn't feel like that was justified. I'm making my damage, my burst a little bit worse by not maxing out the Vortex, but I think that's alright. My goal basically as I looked at the draft was like, I need to max out Cold Feet this game, and I need to max out Chilling Embrace. And basically things change every game. That's kind of how things work. You should look at the synergies in your team, and you should adjust your skill builds for heroes. Like, Ancient Apparition is a hero that has a undefined skill build. It's not consistent, I don't think. It's not always going to be the same way. In most cases it is going to be. But for supports that get a lot of stats to make up for their lackings in survivability, I feel like you can definitely adjust your skill builds if you're doing well. And we see that a lot. What's a good example? There's a hero that we see that all the time in. God, what is it? I feel like it's their middle skill. They get stats instead of maxing it out. You could think about it in like Gyro's case or something like that. I messed up my Ice Blast here. That was a big mistake. If I would have landed my blast, he probably would have died.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
CM maybe? Somebody that builds kind of Aghanims. Oh, Dazzle. Dazzle's a good example. Dazzle almost never grabs Poison Touch because he needs HP so bad. But in games where Dazzle's actually really rich and is able to build like some survivability components, you'll actually see Dazzles, even pro Dazzles, they'll max out Poison Touch after because they're like, I've already got like 1300 HP, I can get Poison Touch levels. I'd rather have the option to have it disabled rather than an extra 38 HP or something. So they actually do level it out. And this is a case, I think, where if you're doing well and you're getting kills and you have a Treads, Wand, and an Urn, which is 3 survivability items, like I've got plus 19 strength, I can definitely spend money or spend skill points on extra utility and damage over stats. So don't be afraid to change your builds is what I'm trying to prove the point of. It's definitely something you can do. Again, 2-man gank, super easy here. Morphling grabbing the kill. Got the Storm Spirit over here. Place I warded next to the tier 2 tower is a very common spot if you're spending time in that area or you're trying to set up a kill there. Again, earning the lifestealer to keep his HP full in case he gets gone on. Nicely done by the Legion to remove the stuns. Legion actually pretty good against Morphling. You can do the same thing with Abaddon. Abaddon's second skill, Aphotic Shield, can also remove disables. Even hard disables like stuns. So those heroes are really good against Morphling. Or situationally can be used to counter the offlane Morphling max stun. Let's say we're a bit weak on disables this game. I think if I were to pick a slightly modified lineup, I would obviously pick a better carry, and I would also probably... Not that Lifestealer's terrible with this draft. It's not bad, but it's a little... I mean, Lifestealer's a bit of a weak carry. But I'd also change the Witch Doctor into something that had maybe harder disables. Like Avenge, perhaps, I think might be smarter. I think Avenge would be better. Tanked a lot of towers there, which is why I died. But we ended up killing a lot of people, so it's alright. Yeah, I'd maybe pick a different support. Witch Doctor's kind of good because A is technically greedy. He's a little bit weak in a tri-lane, but still good, because he doesn't have a disable. So I would maybe have opted for something with a better disable, like Venge, for example. But Venge's range isn't as good. It's up to what you want to do. Witch Doctor is better at team fighting than Venge in a lot of ways. Does way more damage, can heal allies. Venge stacks better for the damage bonus, and reliable disable and all that stuff. So I don't know. But I felt like our draft was super synergistic here. I really had fun playing this game. And now I'm in a position where I have a stupid amount of gold in an early game. And I spend the money on a 4-staff. At first I was like, maybe I should get a Hex to help deal with the Storm Spirit, but I don't really think that's the best solution. I also could have bought a Eul's Scepter. I think this would actually have been an okay time for a Eul's Scepter. Makes you very survivable against Storm Spirit. If somebody goes on me, like Legion Commander or Spectre, I can Eul's myself or them and run away. If Legion duels somebody else, I could Eul's the Legion Commander to prevent him from killing my ally, assuming the Legion is a decent damage dealer. If the Lina Eul's sets up on somebody, I can Eul's the Lina to prevent her from getting the follow-up stun. I think Eul's would have probably been better than Force Staff here, because Force is very good against Storm, because it forces him to ball Lightning extra. And then again, same thing as that was I was talking about in the replay commentary. You can Eul's into Cold Feet to set up a Eul's stun. So watching the replay now, normally I'm like, wow, Eul's is a terrible item, but most of the time that people buy Eul's on Ancient Apparition, they go Arcane Boots into Eul's, and they have 700 HP at like 20 minutes in the game, and I'm like, dude, your HP is way too low. It really is a lot about increasing your survivability on Ancient Apparition. It makes a big deal. So I casted Chilling Touch here just in case they decided to fight. I seem to remember they type things like, we're giving up or something. I don't remember, but the cooldown is low enough now that it's okay to cast this a few times. I'm going to put a sentry down. I took way too long to do this. This is dangerous. I definitely could have died here. But I put a sentry down to make sure they didn't have vision over there. And yeah. Back to the mid lane. So probably should have gone to Eul's there, but I think Force is also very, very good. Especially with an Ember Spirit, if he gets disabled in any way, it's helpful to be able to push him back to safety in some way. Force Staff back to the Storm Spirit. See right there. I cold feed it on the exact moment that he got Chilling Embrace, so I know that he's going to get stunned for 4 seconds. Forced him back again because he got Orchided.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
This looks like an opportunity to dive if needed.
Dire's middle tower has fallen. Dire's middle barracks are under attack. Dire's middle barracks has fallen.
As with all Dota games, you just have to understand the strength of your hero. I think it's really important. So I was just thinking about, like, it's hard. Like, most of the time, like, this is a really bad Chilling Touch, by the way, but I was scared that they would fight, and I wanted to get the ability on cooldown. That way, we'd be able to use it the second time. So we delayed the buildings being Raxed here, but also gives us more survivability and taking a team fight, which I thought they may take.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
Watching me play these games might be weird. You might be like, wow, Ancient Apparition seems so strong, you can burst people down. But you have to recognize when it's okay to kill your opponents, like when you feel safe doing it, when they're likely to actually die from it.
Dire's middle tower has fallen.
Fortunately, I wasn't able to.
Dire's middle tower is
Also
under
missed the
attack.
Chilling Touch on Blitz. Backed off to go help Steven, and Ember Spirit ended up dying to the Orchid Storm. So it's hard to basically understand as a support when you're strong, but you need to learn how to do that and to understand your strengths to raise your MMR. That's a really big part of MMR. I'm basically saying you need good game sense to be good at Dota. It's super important. Not much I can do to save it, but if you, I don't know where I'm really going with that, but I feel like the thing that was holding me back with A for a long time was my lower level game, and also because I was scared to use the hero in an aggressive way. Same reason that I was actually kind of bad at Dazzle when I was in Korea. I at the time when I was there, I was so sure that maxing Grave first was the way to play the hero because you got so much value from graving multiple people per fight. But by going that skill build, it prevented me from doing anything aggressive and from having anything in terms of items because I wasn't able to easily farm by casting Shadow Wave on a Creep Wave, for example. So it's kind of the same thing with Ancient Apparition. It's kind of a weak support in an offensive standpoint in some ways, and by not truly understanding how the hero is useful and that you can gank with those heroes, even though they are more of a defensive standpoint in some ways, that they're still useful heroes, and by being able to gank occasionally and set up things and not just play passively, it can really improve your game in a lot of ways. And so it's important to do that stuff. So I think where I was going with that is basically try to get better at understanding the strengths of your heroes. I knew that I could kill Alina because she was the support. She's about the same level as me. I should have checked her HP and to see if she had wand charges or whatever else, maybe a cloak or something, who knows. But check to see what their items are, see what their HP is, and say, I think that I can land an Ice Blast if you stun them. And communicating that to your ally is really important, and if you do execute those correctly, then you increase your gold gain and your experience gain and all that good stuff. So get better is what I'm trying to say. Get better at Dota. So thanks for watching. Sorry the video is so short, but I felt like this was a really good demonstration of all aspects of Ancient Apparition. Obviously you didn't see a whole lot of like ults from space, basically from across the map to hit everybody on the enemy team, but I feel like that style is a little bit weak on making Ancient Apparition good. Ancient Apparition is more than just long range Ice Blasts, and if you miss those Ice Blasts, your hero sucks because you're missing an Ice Blast and you're not there. I really like playing battle Ancient Apparition. I think it has a place. It's not very good versus Storm, but we had decent disables and we had a really good early game, so it allowed us to just steamroll. This is probably one of the hardest games that I've won, or basically one of the most one-sided games that I've won in a long time. So, alright, thanks for watching, guys. I will see you tomorrow. Sorry the video is so late. I've been lazy today. I apologize. I will see you later. Goodbye.